Yeah.
I don't know what we're waiting for now.
Stand by.
Okay, Avraham, you were telling me about the massive selection on that day. You were telling me about the selection.
Yes. So Dr. Elkes tried to squeeze out from Rocco what is the real reason for ordering 30,000 people, old and young, sick and healthy, babies in the arms of their children. Why do they have to go to report? If it's a matter of food rationing, we'll arrange it. So he says, no, the Jews are too much close to each other, and they are very for each other. They cannot trust us that we'll do it. They'll give to one and they'll share it with the others. And to cut a long story short, we did not believe that this is the real reason for ordering all on the square. And certain members of the Jewish community, Jewish committee, said that we should not give the instructions, or we should not make public the order. Why should the Gestapo itself not make public? She should write in public. Why would they want us? They want, because if it would be information and announcement of the Jewish committee, there would seem that if it's the Jewish committee is ordering that, and this under no circumstances they wanted to do. So finally they decided that we should ask to consult the chief rabbi Shapiro, who was a scholar of world fame. He was at one time a candidate to be the chief rabbi of Eretz Israel. And we went to him, and he said it is a very hard question that he has to check with and when we came, he told us to come at 11 o'clock night, and then he told us to come at 5 o'clock in the morning. He was not ready, and then, to cut a long story short, he came very long, and finally he said, he found in certain conditions that a Jewish community was placed into a situation that if there is a possibility to rescue part of the community and not the whole community, the Jewish leadership has to do everything in order to rescue this, what is possible. I'll tell you later about, there is a famous story about it, that two went in the desert and they had also left one cup of water, and it was sufficient only for one of them. If one of them will drink the water, the other will die. If both of them will drink, nobody will. Anyhow, this is so after having heard this consultation of the chief rabbi, it was the wording of the information of the Oda'ah, the announcement, was in a say that the Gestapo ordered the Jewish population in the ghetto to appear. Not that the Jewish committee, but the Gestapo orders the Jewish committee, so and so on. And those who will not appear at 6 o'clock in the morning, and those who will not appear at 6 o'clock in the morning and will be found in the house, each one which will be found in his house will be killed on the spot. They shall leave open the houses, the drawers, the shelters, everything. And finally, there were several, and where there is a sick man, they should put in writing that there is a sick man that is immovable, that cannot be transported. And of course, all those who were left and killed, they killed them. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, there was 30,000 went with lanterns in their hands, two from various parts of the ghetto to this square. And I brandmarked it as the funeral of the victims themselves. the inmates themselves went to their own funeral, because nobody knew what will happen and who will go and who will not go. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, Rauka stood up on a top of
Is the square just packed?
overcrowded, and that was family-wise and work groups-wise. All those who worked at the airport should be all together in one group. Those who worked in cleaning and at the Gestapo building, different. All in their places of work and the name of the place of work. And the Jewish police separate column, the Jewish committee separate with its institution, and so on. And then Rauka started at 8 o'clock. He stood up on the upper hill to have a overlook all these groups, and they started unthreatened to march forward. And they used to pass by him, and then he used to say, links, rechts, small right. And usually the people think that right is the better. Left is not good. And at this time, exactly the opposite was right. And it happened so that people were very lucky that they were sent to the right. But to the right, they sent the old people, the children, those who are not capable of working, who cannot be of any assistance to the effort of war, of the German effort of war. And this took place all day long.
Was there panic?
I beg pardon?
Was there panic? Was there
Not panic at all, but let's say they waited and nobody knew what is going. Nobody knew that it's going to be dead. So maybe it's harder work. Anyhow, and he stood, and in one end he said left, links, small, links, left, right, and with the other hand he kept a sandwich and they kept handkerchiefs, and they ate very tasteful sandwich, but he kept also that his fingers should not get from the fat from the sandwich. He had a serviette, you see. It was just terrible to see a man without any human feelings at all. He eats in one end the sandwich, and the other one says left, right. And Dr. Elke stood not far away from him and tried to get out somebody from the left to the right side. They said, this is a very important carpenter, and this is a bricklayer, and this is a very machinist, artisan, and so on. He tried to help, but in the end of the day, and this took all the day long, and people, the old men, fell on the spot, on the Demokratia Square. Old people or sick people, they fainted, they were left there. They didn't even reach the selection point. They just left where they were, you see. And it ended approximately at 6 in the evening, when it's already sunshine is down, sunset, and then 10,000 people were taken over to the smaller ghetto. There was which was vacated before, from the 4th of October, where they put on fire the hospital with the patients, with the doctors and the medical personnel on the 4th of October. And they liquidated a small part of the ghetto, and in this vacated part, that they killed approximately 1,000 people in the 4th of October, they left in the 10,000 people there. And Elke tried, when Elke stood all the day long, he didn't want to sit, he didn't want to take a piece of water, nothing. He says, oh, why should I live up to this day? And what have I done wrong? That destiny just forced me. And he stood all day, he didn't move.
What were some of your thoughts?
What
were some of your emotions that you were...
I was close to him.
And what were you thinking?
I'll tell you why. He was close. And when somebody for instance, there was a very veteran Zionist man of the age of 70. He was the owner of the Hebrew library, the biggest. So he was alone. So I told him, Dr. Elkes here, Balosha passes by, try to rescue him. You know, so we just told him, we were busy all the day, I at least, you see. And, but of course, he rescued, but this was a very small part. And in the evening, came to Dr. Elkes at his home, those who were separated, husband from man and man from children, from parents and so on. And they asked him, and then Dr. Elkes asked the Koppelman, the commander of the police, of the Jewish police, to ask from Roca that he should allow take out from those 10,000, 100 men who were in his language, this is a very important artisan, this is a very important physician, and this is a very important this and that. And the next morning, when they were all from the small ghetto on their march to the 9th Fortress, to the Vernichtungsstelle number 2, those the Germans called the 9th Fortress annihilation point number 2. And of course in the secret, but I got it. You see, and so Dr. Elkes was permitted to go in and take out the 100, but then they fell upon him, all of them. Dr. Elkes rescued us. One took him by his slaves, another took him by his foot, another took him by his head, another by his coat. And then there was a great tumult, you see, and the marching to the 9th Fortress stopped. All the 10,000 were mixed up, and the Lithuanian partisans entered, and they beat up Elkes terribly on his head, and they fell and they fainted. And then we rushed from the other side of the ghetto, several people and myself, and we took him on our arms and brought him entirely. He was 2 days in that place. He was terribly wounded. And he said, what he could always, they told him, if you don't go away from here, we take you to the 9th Fortress. This was the most terrible day that it was in ghetto. And another day that I think I should mention.
We have to end the interview.
End?
Yeah. Your wife is in a car waiting for you outside, and we'll have to pick up maybe tomorrow. I know.
I am not quarreling with my wife.
Not after 40 years.
You know
walk
that
down
I'm
with
at the hotel. You know where I'm at the hotel. At the